This is another edition of Now and Then. Clarence Williams coming to you this morning. Hope, trust, and pray that you've had a great last day, beautiful week. We are going to talk to you today about Now and Then. Now and Then is a podcast that is talking about and comparing before events and the now events, the things of present with the things of the past. Since there is nothing new, it's just new actors. But the things that we see people are doing now, they have already did it. Someone has already did it before. And what I've tried to do on this podcast is to show you the difference or show you the comparison, the parallel of things before versus things now. And so many times people are so wrapped up in what's going on now that they cannot see uh, what has happened in the past and the outcome of what has happened in the past. Nothing is going to change. If it did not work before, it's not going to work now. Why? Because people keep doing the same thing. And as long as you keep doing the same thing the same way, you're going to get the same result. That's the principle. And so I want to talk to you about man's walls and their victim. The walls that man gets themselves in, creates, starts, and the victims of those walls. I went to Europe, and I was so fascinated with Europe, and all throughout Europe, I was looking at all of the monuments and all of the statues and the sculptures and the pictures, and it's just so much over there. And I started wondering to myself, I mean, why is all of this so prevalent here in Europe? I've been across the Pacific, and I've never seen so much history, so much contributed to war going across the Pacific uh, to those places. But going into Europe, I mean, you can't help but notice every city that you go into it just so much. And so I started getting involved in it, and I just found out both world wars was fought in Europe. Both World War One and World War Two, both was fought in Europe. And World War One, over 8 million people lost their lives in World War One. And then listen to this: in World War Two, between 60 and 80 million people lost their lives in World War Two. And the staggering thing about it is over 50 million were victims that have just lost their lives because man was fighting for control, for power, for whatever reason, egoish reason, that man will step up and say, we're going to fight. And most of the time, it is because of some man's opinion or some man's ego or some man's feelings have gotten hurt or gotten bruised, that they then convince the whole of a country to start a war. Now, I totally understand that in some cases there are reasons for war. I understand that. I'm not against wars. I am against the ceaseless and the useless, uh, the way people use walls, you know. It has no end in sight until people's emotions get satisfied, or the land get taken, or whatever happens that will cause them little pressure from outside forces, especially in this 21st century. We have the United Nations, we have other countries that are voicing their opinion, but nothing is happening, and no other country is intervening. Now, I can understand Europe talking about the Ukraine wall, the Ukraine Russian wall. I can understand Europe because I told you Europe has had two walls, devastating walls. And Europe really doesn't want to get into another wall, but Europe has a direct interest in this Ukraine Russian war because Russia is trying to not only take Ukraine, but Russia eventually want to take Europe, just like Napoleon and just like Hitler. Russia is trying to sweep now. But then the president of our United States was elected because he says he can end the walls in one day. On day one, he will end the wall. And people believe that, just like people believe right now his statement that uh, if he was president, the war would never have started. They believe that also. You know, it's almost like keep lying to me and I'll keep believing it. Now he cannot stop the war. His influence, which was one of the reasons why I believe, people voted for him because he had influence over uh, Putin. He had influence over Netanyahu. He had friendly relationship with both of these leaders. And so naturally he could be the one that would, could talk to them and get them to back down. That makes sense, Get someone that that can talk to you, seemingly that would work. But that did not work. That did not work. Why? For that same reason why he was elected. He was elected because he had influence and that he could talk to them. The difference was that he could not talk to the other side of the wall. He was friend with only one side. In order to be a negotiator, you have to have some relationship with both sides, some friendly relationship with both sides in order to get the change and the influence that you need. He is friends with one side, and usually being friend with one side, when chips go down, you're gonna side with the one side that you are a friend, and so that's not going to work. What was elected is now working against the end of the law. And then those that exercise in the United States their constitutional right to voice their opinion in opposition to the wall, freedom of speech, are now being threatened and challenged themselves, anti Semitic, because they are voicing their opinion. They are now receiving the hostility. They are now receiving and being called prejudice. They are now saying that are being discriminated against. Remember those three principles in those colleges, Pennsylvania and Massachusetts, and what's the other one? Harvard. Yeah, yeah. Those three principles had to presidents had to either resign or was fired. Why? Because it was believed that they were condoning or allowing the students on their individual campuses to discriminate and to be anti Semitic. And so they were fired or they had to resign, forced to resign. Instead of looking at the victims of the wall or the humanitarian side of the wall, they are saying, listen, we understand that over 40,000 are being killed. Babies, women's, children's, young men's, old men's, victim. People have nothing to do with the war. But that does not matter. It does not matter. As long as you don't talk against it, you are okay. And then those that should be talking and trying to get a remedy, get a ceasefire, they can't do it. They won't do it because they are siding or they are friends with only one side. Recently, J.D. Vance, and I'm pretty sure the president agrees, if the two don't come together in the negotiating table and show some progress of negotiating to end the war, we're just going to pull out of it and just let you guys do what you do. These are the ones that was elected because they can end the war on day one. Now they're saying we can't do it. And then, bless their hearts, France, UK, and Canada are threatening, and I use that word threatening very lightly because they're not going to do anything. They're just going to talk. But they're threatening Israel. You need to stop and end this war. You need to uh, allow the humanitarian trucks to get in. The UN has all of these trucks lined up over there, and you are creating a humanitarian crisis by starving the people and allowing trickling of trucks coming in. 5 recent trucks coming in with so many people dire need. And they are saying, you need to stop doing it. Countries over there that should be stepping up and telling Israel, stop or else, will not do it. And Israel now is saying they want to control or take over the whole of Gaza. Hmm. Now that's what President Trump said. He wanted to make it an oasis. Yeah. And now Netanyahu is going to make it an oasis because he's going to push everyone off the land. Why is he going to push everyone off the land? Because he says Hamas is a threat. Well, if Hamas is the threat, why not leave the people there and just get rid of Hamas? Well, he can't do that because he doesn't know where Hamas is hiding behind this building or in this tunnel. And so he bombs everything. And the only way to get rid of Hamas is to get all the people off the land. Sound like a new building phase project to me. Yeah. And then post Syria. Since 1979, Syria has had sanctions on them because they are supporting terrorism. And the United States and other countries opposing sanctions and everything. And United States is so against Israel. In 2004, more sanctions. Presidents after presidents putting sanction after sanction on Syria. 2011, more sanctions on Syria. And then the Golan Heights war between Syria and Israel, you know, bone of contention. And all of a sudden, the president of the United States goes into the Middle East and then say he's going to get rid of all sanctions against Israel because Saudi Arabia asked him to do it and never did go to Israel where all the killing and all the fighting is happening. But that's not anti-Semitic because he's the president and he's doing what he needs to do to end the war. When Kamala Harris refused to meet with Netanyahu when he came to the White House, that was anti-Semitic because, well, not come to the White House, when he addressed Congress. That's when she refused to go. She met with him afterward. But that was anti-Semitic because she should have been there. Because he should not Netanyahu. But then this president, which friend to Netanyahu, refused to go to Israel with all of the killing and all of the wall that is going there. But that's not anti-Semitic. That's him. That's the art of the deal. What's the bottom line? The bottom line is that wall kills people. It destroys homes, it destroys communities, it destroys cities, it destroys schools, playgrounds, children, little babies being pulled out from under buildings where bombs have just dropped and just leveled the place, all because Hamas has a headquarters there, or one Hamas terrorist was there, or soldier was there. And it does not matter whether Hamas was there or not. When a bomb is dropped, the excuse is Hamas was there. Walls of man and their victims. And there is nothing, no country or no outside force will do but talk. But talk. This is the world that we live in. I don't know the answer. I do know men need to start having more conscience that will cause them to have more humanity towards the world and its people. Lastly, U.S. aid throughout the world has been ended by President Trump. Do you know one effect of that? Gaza. Because all United States aid ended, including Gaza. Remember when Biden was president and he took charge and trying to get aid into Gaza, and they was going to do something differently, have it on a ship or something, and try to float it in or something like that, because Israel had still have all the roads blocked that's going. Trump is not doing any of that. Trump has ended all aid to all countries, but getting still, this is humanitarian. He still wants the walls to stop. He still wants the people that are dying to stop dying. But when you eliminate all of that aid, you are effectively doing what you are trying to say you want to stop. This is Clarence Williams. This is now, and this is then. Let us pray and let us just let God have his way. Thank you so much.